Hello everybody, welcome back. We're getting started a little bit early today. I had to get up very early this morning because my one cat is having a dental procedure. And I was just sitting here and I was like, well, I could either work on Alka Mortis off stream for an hour before the stream, or I could just start the stream early and we could do all that work on stream. So I figured it'd be more fun and more interesting to do that on stream. So we're just gonna start a little bit early today, and that also means I'm gonna try to go to the usual time. So that means we're gonna do about a 3-hour stream today. So hopefully we get a lot done, and if we don't get a lot done, then well, that's just the way it works. Anyway, before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alka Mortis is available for wishlisting. This is the best way that you could support me right now, is by wishlisting this. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own synergies. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out. You can also support the game on Patreon. If you subscribe at this top tier here for at least 1 month, I'm going to send you an Alka Mortis Steam key when the game launches. So it's like a pre-purchase. And your name will also be listed in the Alka Mortis in-game credits. So yeah, if you want to support the project, that's why it's called the sponsor tier. You're supporting the development, you're going to get a copy of the game, and you will be mentioned as helping out with the development in the game when it launches. So just imagine this, right? Imagine this. Alka Mortis sells 5 billion copies and your name is in the game. Be pretty cool, right? Anyway, and I also have the Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. So if you want to learn how to use the Godot engine, you could check out these courses. I think it's a great resource, but also this helps me out a lot as well. This is the main way that I'm making my income right now, so every purchase helps. But you can also join the Discord, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Those options are totally free. So check out the description for all the ways that you could support me. All right, so we're going to continue on with making our interactive tutorial. I've made a few changes. I've started moving forward a little bit on this. I did make a little bit of a visual update to the skull. I just added some flame particles behind it so it looks a little bit nicer, but it's also a little bit more attention grabbing so that the player knows, you know, has an extra little push to look to where the tutorial thing is working. Obviously, we're going to do a lot more visual work on this, but we're going to pause that for now because we're trying to get the sequencing done. But this is how the tutorial looks so far. We get through that combat, and then I say, okay, we're going to take one of these cards here. I think I did this off stream, but I have the ability now to define a predetermined set of cards as the rewards. So I've just fixed these to be the Lambone Ring, the Skeleton Mage, and the Jellyfish. So we take one of those, and then we go into this state here, and we have the the inventory and the alchemy available now. So the next step is we're going to bring the player into the alchemy, and we are going to have the player do all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I think, yeah, we've got a lot to figure out here, but I think what I want to do is I want to have the player alchemize some cards together. So they'll have to do this, and then they'll have to choose one of the outputs. Let's say they choose the jellyfish. And then what I'm going to do as well is I am going to challenge the player to put, well, probably we'll go through that combat and then challenge the player to put all of the cards on their board. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to do. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm teaching the player the essential skills. I don't need to describe everything. Like, I'm not going to say there's a combat log down here. I'll just leave that for the player to discover. But I probably will have them do some board unlocking so that they understand how to unlock new cells on the board, all that good stuff. So anyway, we got a lot to do. And then of course there's just a lot of edge cases. Like, I just thought of a new edge case here, which is that what if I just keep bouncing between these points until the boss fight comes? Because we got this notoriety bar up here. So yeah. Anyway, we're going to have to figure out a lot of these edge cases and prevent them from happening, or handle them gracefully in some kind of way. But we're kind of focused on the happy path right now. So we're focused on the ideal path, the way that I want the player to get through the tutorial. And then we will try to break it and try to like get that tutorial sequence messed up, and we'll fix all of those holes. And again, we're trying to do this in a way where I'm not cluttering up my code, my main game code, with a bunch of tutorial nonsense. So trying to keep everything as isolated to the tutorial as well. But anyway, let's say hello to everyone. Hello, Jhar. Welcome back. Good to see you. Hello, MF Biggs. Hello, Emerson. Good morning to you all. Light Tiramisu. Welcome, welcome. Courier Games. Welcome back. Always good to see you. Why not have the combat log show during the tutorial? I'm sure your concern is overwhelming the player, but I don't think it would be overwhelming. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm going to give the player the pattern. My goal with the tutorial is give the player the pattern of how they're supposed to interact with the game, and then they can figure out the rest on their own. So I don't need to explain how every node type works. I don't need to explain how every ability type works. I just need to explain basically, here's how you interact with the game, and that's really the sole goal of the tutorial. The rest will be up for the player to discover and learn just through playing the game. But they have to know how to engage with the game first before they can do that. So the tutorial is to teach the player how to engage with the game. So I would consider something like the combat log to be superfluous. But I am making the combat log available in the tutorial, like you can open it yourself. I'm just not going to explicitly call it out because there's no reason to do that. If the player wants to poke around in the interface and says, oh, what's this combat log? And then they see the entire log of their combat, that's fine, right? If anything, it might help them understand what's going on. I don't agree with that. Yeah, I think the combat log is usually something that people look for after they kind of get a feeling for what the game is doing. So first the player has to understand, okay, here's how the turn orders work. Okay, I can see that my skeleton is doing damage. I can see that I'm receiving damage. And then once they start to add new cards to the board and they start to figure out, okay, this is how the combat works, that's when they start to ask the question, okay, how can I know exactly what's going on? And that's when that's when they might look for the combat log. But yeah, I think it's superfluous information for the tutorial, and I don't think showing it initially is likely to help. So yeah. But appreciate the suggestion. I mean, and all of this is subject to change too, right? I could be completely wrong, and I could find out through playtests or whatever that actually people want the combat log open. So none of this is like set in stone, but this is just like how I'm approaching it initially, and then we will tweak and adjust as necessary. All right, so the next big thing, and this is going to be really annoying to test because I have to step through the tutorial every time I want to test the new tutorial step. So that's going to be a little bit annoying, but we'll just get through this. So here I'm going to take a reward, and then I want to push the player into the alchemy. So we're going to want to do that. So state begin alchemy. We enable the alchemy button here. Let's do await get tree create timer 1F. This is to signal get tree create timer false scene tree timer dot signal name dot timeout. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say screen anchor position state combat victory screen anchor position is equal to null. Screen anchor position. Maybe I don't set that actually. We're going to want this to be tutorial context dot drawer UI alchemy. Let's see. Is toggle button visible? Rename that. So I need a way of getting the alchemy toggle button. So I guess what I'll do is I'll do public inventory. What is it called? Drawer toggle button, alchemy toggle button. Maybe I don't want to get the reference to this directly. Let's do maybe vector 2 alchemy toggle button position. We'll just do alchemy toggle button dot global position. Okay, so we'll do alchemy toggle button position, and then we're gonna say state begin alchemy. Oh, this is async void. Hello, Wooius. A live stream at this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your office? Yeah. Welcome, Wooius. Always good to see you. Yep, coming to you live from the great state of Ohio. Fun fact, a disproportionate number of NASA astronauts come from Ohio. And also a disproportionate number of United States presidents come from Ohio. Pretty cool. Anyway, so leave state begin alchemy, screen anchor position, tutorial context, drawer UI, alchemy toggle button position. So what I'm going to need to do here is change the text. So rich text label dot text equals what do I want to say here? I don't actually know what I want to say here. Hi, what is the state of the game? It's getting to finished. We're going to try to release... I'm going to try to release in the first half of this year. So we're getting very close. But it's going to be a while still. Hello, Eto, by the way. Ohio is the state of the game, yeah. That's funny. Alchemy is used to... combine cards and create new ability combinations. Open. The alchemy drawer, I guess that's fine. I can change the text later, but alchemy is used to combine cards. Open the alchemy drawer to begin crafting. I don't want to have to test this every time I do this, but let me just see if I can go far enough without testing it. So probably going to need some kind of offset here. So let's do plus vector 2 dot right times 40. Okay. So now we need to get when the alchemy drawer gets opened. Alchemy drawer. I have my phone notifications are on because I might need to take a call from my vet for the cat, but maybe I can just turn the notification sound off. Man, I don't know how to use these phones. I feel like super proficient with computers, and then I get to my phone and I'm like, I don't know how to do anything on this device. Anyway, okay. So we've got the alchemy drawer here. I need to get whether it's open. Is alchemy is expanded. So we're probably going to want to connect to a signal in here. I have signals for all this UI state just like everywhere, which is kind of annoying. But I suppose it makes sense. So I don't have any custom signals in here. Game events. Do I have like a inventory opened, inventory closed? So I'm kind of mixing UI states in here. So maybe I'll just follow that pattern then. So let's go ahead and add a game event for signal, public, delegate, void, alchemy, opened event handler, signal, public, delegate, void, alchemy, closed event handler. And we'll just go ahead and do those. Emit alchemy opened, emit alchemy closed. We'll go to the alchemy drawer here. And game events dot emit alchemy opened. Emit alchemy closed. So we've got those signals now. So what I could do in here is I can do game events dot instance dot connect, game events dot signal name dot alchemy opened, callable dot from on alchemy opened. On alchemy opened. If state machine get current state is not equal to state begin alchemy return. Okay, so now we're probably going to want to change it to another state. Let's do state begin, state machine dot add state, state alchemy, leave state alchemy. Go ahead and put these in here. Private void state alchemy. Private void leave state alchemy. Okay, so the screen anchor position. So if we have the alchemy drawer here, do I want to do anything with respect to the positioning here? Probably not. How wide is this? Layout, transform size, that's not helpful. Here we go. 138. Okay. So we'll do screen anchor position is equal to new vector 2. We will do 640 minus 138 minus guide container dot size dot x. minus some kind of padding. And then we will do Y. We can just do something like 100. Okay, so that's the screen anchor position. These are all hard-coded numbers. I might have to change that later, but we're not going to worry about that just yet. Rich table, to combine cards. Let's see, to alchemize cards. Place. Add 2 or more cards to the pot. Select the pot to commence alchemization. Okay, something like that. And then we're going to need to handle the state when the alchemy actually happens. So we probably want to do like a state for alchemy output. So state machine.add state, state alchemy output, leave state alchemy output. So the alchemy drawer, we're probably going to need a signal for this as well. Alchemy container, alchemy started event handler. Alchemy started. Oh, I'm never using this. Okay, we'll get rid of that. That's a useless signal. I was actually never emitting that signal either. All right, so I'll probably just throw this into the game events as well. Let's just do signal public delegate void alchemy alchemy we'll do alchemization finished event handler, and then we'll do public static void emit alchemization finished. We'll go to the alchemy drawer here, alchemy container I mean, handle pressed, awaiting alchemized cards, set alchemy output cards, and then we will emit game events, emit alchemization finished. Okay. What phone is it? It's Google Pixel. Is it a 9? Google Pixel 9? Don't remember. Don't like most phones have a switch for vibrate ring. No. This phone just has the power and volume buttons. I mean, I figured it out. You have to like hit the volume button and then go to the little menu. It's all right. Earliest game development yet? Yes, indeed. I've been up since 6 a.m., so I've been up for 3.5 hours already. It's all right. Welcome back to the Dawlight, by the way. Good to see you again. And also Monkey Software, welcome to you. Always good to see you both. I actually have a question today, if that's all right. No, it's not. You may not ask questions. I will not be answering questions. I'm just kidding. My game has combat where you progress by clearing rooms of enemies. Enemies work but feel boring. They just chase the player until they hit a certain distance and then attack. Any tips or resources for more dynamic enemy behavior? So I think, are you having problems with the design of enemies, or are you having problems with the actual programming of enemies? It sounds like maybe you're having more of a problem with the programming of enemies. And I think what you have to understand is, like, when you're doing enemy AI, it's not a science, right? I think a lot of, especially like more technically minded people, programmers and whatnot, they tend to think like, oh, there has to be a right way to do it, and there has to be like, you know, this is the strategy that you use for like making an enemy behave this way. It's like, That's not really true. Like, designing enemy AI behaviors is more of an art than it is a science. And so what you'll typically find is that when you're trying to do more dynamic or interesting enemy attack patterns, you mess with a bunch of timings, you mess with a bunch of random magic numbers and constants and like tweak their speed, and you can add a little bit of noise to their movement as well, meaning that instead of just moving in a straight line to the player, you could use something like steering behaviors to make them kind of like loosely follow the player, but also kind of like run around like zombies or whatever, like in zigzag patterns and whatnot. So I guess what I would point you to is look up steering behaviors. And I'll actually bring up a resource right now. This resource is very good. This code.tutsplus.com. If you just look up steering behaviors for game development, this will explain to you how to do steering behaviors. And this is basically just a way of like, you set a waypoint for the entity that you want to move, but then the steering behaviors are a way to add a bunch of noise or sort of like, I don't know what the word is, like non-deterministic or more organic movement to the player, but it's also a great way to create different movement patterns. So you could have a steering behavior that causes it to wander a lot, meaning that instead of going straight line to the player, it kind of veers off to the left and then it circles back to the right, and maybe it keeps veering to the left, but it generally keeps moving to the player. And you can toggle or change the frequency of those things, so you can get very like lazy enemies or like very fast enemies that are just moving like side to side. So steering behaviors are a good thing to know. But as far as like the attack patterns and stuff, yeah, that's just a matter of like playing with timings and getting the rhythm to work the way that you want it to. So yeah, check those things out. That will probably help you quite a bit. Is some impending deadline keeping you up related to the game? I mean, no, I had to get up early because my cat had a vet appointment. Yeah, regarding design in general, I think you just have to experiment and see how something feels. Lots of good ideas come from accidents. Right, and that's kind of my point. It's like, it's not a science. You just have to kind of go in and just like write a bunch of stuff and just manipulate the character. I think sometimes it's helpful to think about it as if like the game is kind of like a puppet show, right? It's like, it's all smoke and mirrors, but what you want to do is you want to just make the player suspend disbelief and believe that the enemies are smart or engaging or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're just like a puppet master, and you're just trying to like puppeteer these things to create an engaging experience. And so when you think of it in that way, it becomes less of a science and more about like the entertainment factor. It becomes more about, you know, just puppeteering the enemies in a way that creates some amusement and engagement for the player. At the end of the day, like, yeah, when you're making a game, your goal is to give a good experience to the player. It's not, your goal is not to be like technically accurate and do things by the book. Your goal is to provide engaging experience, and a lot of that is just more design and art oriented. It's more of a creative exercise than it is a technical one. Most games don't even try to do something like fear enemies and just manage just fine. Yeah. I understand the basics of game design, like warning players that enemies about to attack, but I feel like I should read some more articles about this stuff or something. My man pulled up a whole physics class. Yeah, welcome, V. I'm lurking in a meeting, so I'm just seeing visuals. All good. Good to see you. I'll try experimenting some more, yeah. Hello, Neptune. I'm taking a break from your 2D multiplayer course. Figured it was okay because I'm here. Yeah, that's all right. How are you liking the multiplayer course? It's never okay to take a break from game development, right? That's right. Okay, so in here, let's do state alchemy output. Not even done chapter 1 and I'm so much further than I could have imagined. Awesome, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're liking the course. Okay, So state alchemy output. Okay. I think this is superfluous. Let's just do choose one card to add to your inventory. Hover over a card to see its new abilities. Okay. Okay, so now let's connect to that new signal. Game events.instance.connect. Alchemization finished. Callable from on alchemization finished. Private void on alchemization finished. State alchemy. Am I never changing to the alchemy state? State alchemy. Yeah, I need to do state machine to change state alchemy there. All right. Well, I did a bunch of work without testing this, so let's just see what that does. When I tried high-level multiplayer in Godot, it feels so counterintuitive at first. I think that's just multiplayer design in a nutshell, because there's a lot that you have to hold in your mind at once. It's like it's just, it can be hard to wrap your mind around because you've got the server authority and then you have all the clients. But it also gets a little bit confusing when the server is also a client. So that's the way that the 2D multiplayer course works. One player hosts a server, but they also play as a client on that server. So you have to kind of keep in your mind, okay, there's a server authority, but then there's a player that's actually running the server, so they are also the authority. But then you have all of these other clients connected, but then you have to synchronize. Anytime one client makes a change, you have to synchronize that change to all the rest of the connected clients as well. So it's a little bit hard to wrap your mind around that. It's definitely a little bit of a different way of thinking about game development. And there's also an additional challenge in deciding how to synchronize data across the network. So yeah, it's different for sure. It's extensive and detailed enough for me to build and implement for my 3D FPS prototype. Awesome. The authority thing is a little tough to wrap my head around, but once you get it, it's like, how could it work any other way? Right, yeah. And, there's no bottom to the depth of networking. The way that we do it in the course is very, direct. It's, you've got a server authority. The clients send the inputs that they want to make to the server. The server then actually changes the game state in accordance with those client inputs, and then it synchronizes the new game state to all the clients so that all the clients can display the result. But, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's smoke and mirrors. Like, the clients that are not the server are basically just a puppet show. Like, they're not actually making any changes to the game state. The server is the one doing all the changes to the game state, and the client is just sending requests to the server that can result in a game state change. And then the server has to make sure that all those clients stay synchronized so that every player sees the same thing on the screen. And so it's definitely a different way of thinking about it for sure. I also did the multiplayer course recently. It was really helpful. Still need to finish the last 2 chapters, but I couldn't wait to start a project of my own. Awesome. Glad to hear that. It's the best gift a course could give you. Totally feel that. Once things started clicking, I couldn't help but take breaks to implement new mechanics. There you go. Yeah, understanding some broader concept. When I tried it on my own, I ended up ditching multiplayer nodes entirely, just RPC. Yeah, and you can definitely do that. I think the multiplayer nodes are just basically helpers, but sometimes it is easier just to do the RPCs yourself. Okay, let's try this. Click the combat disc to begin the encounter. We'll do auto resolve here. You have defeated some of the Inquisition's forces. Claim your treasure and press forward. We'll take the jellyfish. Okay, alchemy is used to combine cards and create new ability combinations. Open the alchemy drawer to begin crafting. To alchemize cards, add 2 or more cards to the pot. Click the pot to commence alchemization. So we'll add 2 cards to the pot. And I could just add all 3 if I wanted to. Okay, so that part didn't work. Oh, state alchemy output. There we go. There we go. So there's a couple of changes that I want to make to the visuals. I want to make the text able to appear on the left side of the skull as well. I also was thinking about, I think it would be nice to add like a little hand to the skull, or maybe even make it like the upper body of a skeleton where the arms can like point at things. I think that'd be kind of cool, but we'll see how much time I want to spend on this. Alchemy is used to combine cards and create new ability combinations. Open the alchemy drawer to begin crafting. To alchemize cards, add 2 or more cards to the pot. Click the pot to commence alchemization. So yeah, the problem is I can close this. So we're gonna have to handle all these situations, but grab this, grab that, put this guy in there as well. Choose 1 card to add to your inventory. Hover over a card to see its new abilities. Okay, so now I need to figure out okay, choose 1 card. Okay, so hover. So yeah. All right. Choose 1 card to add to your inventory. Hover over a card to see its abilities. Cool. So now I need to prompt the player to go into the next combat. So in here, on card transferred. Else if state machine dot get current state is equal to state alchemy output. We are going to, if 2 inventory is not equal to player board, yeah, that's fine. Change state. State machine dot add state post alchemy. Leave state post alchemy. Okay, so we'll go down here. Private void state post alchemy. Private void leave state post alchemy. Okay, so in the state post alchemy, what we're going to do is we're going to say rich text label dot text is equal to we'll do that, and then we'll say screen anchor position equals null here. World anchor position is equal to nodes 1 dot position plus right offset. Okay. Post victory. Okay. Let's see what that does. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't necessarily tell what had changed there. The cards were the same, but with different stats. Highlighting that more clearly may help, unless I missed something obvious. Yeah, they have different abilities after you alchemize them. So after the player beats this combat, I give them cards that are, they don't have, well, the jellyfish has damage, but they're very obviously different than the skeleton warrior. So you got heal, apply 6 fire, so on and so forth. So then it's like, okay, alchemy is used to combine cards. You open this up. If I were to add like the jellyfish and the skeleton and click the pot, then I could see, oh, well, this has deal 2 damage twice, and this has deal 2 damage twice plus 4 damage plus poison. Right, so maybe I could highlight that better. Okay, so that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Oh, state post alchemy. Didn't change it to the right state, that's why. Hello, Defected, welcome back. Oh, there's a lot of work to do on this still, but we're gonna get it done. Add 2 cards to the pot. %10 chance to exhaust self. Well, I hope this doesn't work, or this doesn't cause the player to die. Now continue your offensive against the Inquisition with your newly alchemized card. Okay, actually, the AI was correct here. Okay. So I'll go here. All right, so now we can handle the on combat entered. Else if state machine dot get current state is equal to state post alchemy. State machine dot add state combat 2. World anchor position. Private void state combat 2. We'll just set this to false. Private void leave state combat 2. Oops. So leave state combat 2. So we're just going to hide that. We're going to let the player figure out the combat on their own. And then they'll also get a reward from that. Yeah, I think maybe I could do a better job of highlighting the differences, but I'm hoping that just by giving the player a bunch of different abilities with the outputs, that they will they'll be able to figure that out. Okay, so leave state combat 2. When is this map entered signal? Map entered. I don't really like this map entered signal. Maybe I don't want to redo it right now. I'm gonna have to figure out all my signals and stuff, but I think might change this. Add state, state combat 2. Okay, so what I'm doing in here now is I basically just want to detect when the player enters the combat. Private void, state combat 2. We're just going to do nothing for this. But I need those states because when I have this on combat entered, did I need those states? On combat entered. State pre-combat 2. State machine.change state, state combat 2. Oops. What did I want to do here? Trying to decide what I want to do. Oh, because I want the player to have to unlock a space on their board again. Or not again, but for the first time. On combat rewards, state machine change state, state combat victory. So let's just do this. On map entered. This is equal to state post victory. Trying to keep these states straight in my mind. State machine dot add state state unlock cells, leave state unlock cells, private void state unlock cells, guide container visible. To create more room for cards, cells in your combat board can be unlocked using alchemical residue. Maybe I'll just do cells in your combat board can be unlocked using alchemical residue. Use alchemy to gain residue and unlock a cell. I don't know. We'll see how that works. Private void, leave state, unlock cells. Okay. Let's figure out what's going on here. When you went to your cards on the left and the tutorial phrase was still there, can you either change the alpha or Z on that to push back? It was kind of jarring. Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff that I need to fix with respect to the visuals, but we're not focused on that right now. Right now I'm just focused on getting the actual steps done. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that we have to do to get the rendering to look proper. But to answer your question, no, alpha is not an option for sure. Can't do alpha. Hello, Asymmetrics. Welcome. Good to see you again. Good morning to you. Fair enough. Yeah, so this by all means is not final art. Just getting it into a spot where it looks all right. I wonder if in the tutorial I should just start the player off with one skeleton. That would reduce the variability, because I could do this and I could get 2 alchemical residue right off the bat, and then I could unlock a cell, so I could get way ahead of this thing. And then if I go here, oh, that chicken's actually difficult. So I have to make sure, obviously, that I can actually beat that. So maybe I'll change some things here. If I go to my tutorial, seeded run, let's change the health of this guy to 15, and we'll change the health of this guy to 20. Maybe we'll get rid of this second chicken as well. We just want to make sure that it's basically impossible for the player to lose during the tutorial, unless I want to introduce a tutorial step for how the resurrection works, but we may want to do that, but we'll see. Okay, let's try it again. So yeah, let's just say I only have one skeleton to work with. So we do this, we do that, we do alchemize those things. I can also get rid of this cost here. Projects to 1 random enemy card echo. So I take this and I put this on my board. That turns into 1 alchemical reagent. So I continue my offensive against the Inquisition with your newly alchemized card. I go in here. I will hopefully win this. And then I get some rewards, which I have to predetermine. And it didn't work. Why didn't this work? Tutorial guide. Guide container.visible is equal to false. Change state unlock cells. I wonder why I didn't enter that state unlock cells. Am I entering this state combat 2 properly? State combat 2, is this being entered? Oh, it isn't. On combat started. Is this never being used? Okay, so that's never being used. So state pre-combat 2. Maybe I don't need this pre-combat 2 anymore. We'll just see state post alchemy. We'll get rid of this pre-combat 2. Maybe that'll work. Hello, Ninja Link. Good morning to you. Is the output of the alchemy the same for everyone in this tutorial? No, it's not. I'm trying to get away with it not being the same for everyone. And the reason is because there would be a lot of permutations for me to like manually define. So even if I just had one skeleton warrior, you know, I'd have to do an option for if the skeleton warrior is done with the lamb bone ring and done with the jellyfish and done with the, what's the other one? The skeleton mage. I'd have to predefine that output, but then I have a second round of reward cards coming as well. So then the permutations increases, right? Because it's like, you know, I've got a skeleton that was alchemized with one of 3 options, and then I have to take that and alchemize it with one of 3 new options. So I'm just going to try to keep the randomness in there just for simplicity's sake. And then just try to put guardrails around it so that it's basically impossible for the player to lose in the tutorial. So we have the skeleton there. We grab one of these guys. Alchemy is used to combine one or more cards. Okay, alchemized cards. Here, we combine those guys. Hover over a card to see its new abilities. So we got 6 fire. Now continue our offensive against the Inquisition with the newly alchemized card. So we go here. And then I go in here. I should be able to win this just fine. Yep. And then I have to define these cards that come out, but let's see if this works. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked using alchemical residue. Alchemical residue is a byproduct of alchemy. Use alchemy to gain residue and unlock a cell. So right now I only have 1 cell. So if I put these 2 together, I alchemize those things. I'll choose the one that I want the most. That turns into alchemy, and then I can unlock a board cell. Okay. So yeah, I gotta come up with some new cards that the player can get from that output now. But I think this is a good spot to commit, so I'm gonna do that before we move on here. So work on tutorial. We're getting there. So far, I'm happy with how the tutorial implementation is going because it's not really touching all of my main code, which is great. All of the conditional logic is in here. And if I ever do need to, change something else in the game, I just expose an API for doing that. So it's not part, like I'm not managing a bunch of state in a bunch of places. Although I just had an idea. We're going to go to the tutorial guide here. And inside the ready method, I'm going to do tutorial context.drawerui.set as tutorial. So I'm going to throw this in here as well. I'll just do this. Oh wait, is the tutorial context set? No, it's not. Can I do this before I add it as a child? I think so. Yeah, that should be fine. So that tutorial context should be available in the ready method, and I'll just set the drawer as a tutorial. Let's see if that works. So I'm just trying to keep all of the tutorial related logic into that tutorial guide. Basically, the only thing that needs to happen outside of this tutorial guide is I need to, in the run manager here, if we're in tutorial mode, I need to create the tutorial seeded run, which again, a seeded run is basically the map configuration, so everything that gets randomly generated. But what I did in the previous stream is create a base seeded run with a bunch of overridable methods for generating the map. And then for my tutorial seeded run, which extends that, I'm able to hard code all of the configurations, so there's no randomness at play here. But if I just go to my normal seeded run, this is where all the typical random map generation logic is. So the tutorial seeded run is hard coded. It's a predefined configuration. It will never change unless I change it. And then the rest of the logic just plays out as if it's a normal run. On the necessary steps, like unlocking the board, is that going to be forced also during the tutorial? If so, is there going to be visuals to guide them step by step? Well, that's the part that I just did. So it says, hey, unlock a board cell. Again, I'm not trying to be too hand-holding, but basically what I did is say, hey, do the alchemy again. You'll get another alchemical residue, at least one, and then unlock a cell with that. Son of a bee, yeah. Sorry, I asked before you explained. Yeah, I got you. I get behind on the chat sometimes. But again, all of this is subject to change. If a part of the tutorial is too vague or players get stuck on it, then I'll definitely add a little bit more guiding to that part. But again, I don't want to just like give players a wall of text and just say, do this, do that, do that. I just want to give them like a little nudge, like in the right direction. And then I want the player to actually interact with the game in a way that causes them to figure it out. So you'll notice too that when we go to the second combat, I'm no longer explaining how to engage with the combat, right? It's like, once we go to the second combat, it's like, there's no tutorial hints on the screen. It's up to the player to make sure that they got the cards on the board and that they click the combat disc and everything. So yeah. Good morning, Chris. Good to see you. Welcome back to the stream. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. Again, we're going to go a little bit longer today, so we're 1 hour into the stream. Going to do another 2 hours-ish on this. We're going to see how far we can get with this tutorial. Again, this is probably going to take the whole week to get working in a nice way, but it has to be done, so we will get there for sure. But I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will continue on. All right, BRB. Hello, everyone. Something about your niche e-celeb favorite person being back. Anyway. So the next step is to, I guess, detect when a cell has been unlocked. Oh, I need to define the cards that... are dropped from the second encounter. So I actually wrote another script here, one of those editor scripts, which is my new favorite thing to do apparently. I've got this card ID constants generator, and what that does is that just spits out an easily copy pastable C# class called card ID. So I could take that and I can just overwrite this here. And then I have all of the card IDs as constants in my code. I'm gonna probably make that a little bit more sophisticated in the future because this could be split out into a separate file and then I could just write directly to that file when I run that script, but I didn't feel like doing that much. So this is the script. Anyway, so now I have all of the card IDs as constants in my C# code. So what I can do now is I can go to my tutorial guide here, and what can I do? No, I need to go to the tutorial seeded run, and we can define the combat configuration, what the guaranteed reward card IDs are. And so let's figure out something that we want to add here. Now the problem is I don't really have a tool that gives me a good way of seeing all the cards and all of their abilities. Actually, you know what I could do? Let's take a little bit of a detour. Board configuration editor. I don't really use this anymore, but I think I can modify this to be more like a card viewer. Where is that? Here, card registry, all IDs. Let's do this. Var cards ordered by name is equal to card registry all IDs ID card registry dot from ID ID. So let's do a tuple here. We'll do a card definition resource and then just the ID here. Actually, I guess I don't need to do that. We can, yeah, we could just do card registry dot from ID here. Order by card dot display name. Okay, and then we can do for each var card in card definition, I guess. We'll just call it definition in card registry. So this has to be cards ordered by name. We have the card definition resource. Okay, and then we can actually, let's just call this definition. Create card is owned by player. Okay, I think that's basically it. So now, if I run this board configuration editor here, again, this is an old tool. This is from when I was manually defining the enemy board configurations. This is prior to the wave function collapse algorithm, which everyone loves. So we'll let this start up. I don't know why this takes so long, but I did the same thing, but wrote the file directly. Yeah, I want to do that for sure. Oh, and there's no tooltips either. Well, that doesn't help. I forgot that there's no tooltips. How do I do that? Card mouse event manager, card tooltip. How does this work? Can I just add the card tooltip in here? Instantiate child scene, card tooltip. Can I just slap this in here and it'll work? Oh, is that Yummers? Good morning, Nick. Always good to see you. How you doing? Maximum Yummers effort. Hello, Clicker Tail. From node might be perfect for those card constants. Yeah. Horse Dung, that card better have an extra effect when placed right behind a Warhorse card. I should do that, shouldn't I? I've been kind of wary of like making specific cards interact with each other. Because if there's going to be hundreds of cards in the game, but a card is only going to get some power when it's placed behind another specific card, that can make that synergy a little bit harder to acquire. So it definitely makes sense, like on the surface, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be all that useful in the future. But anyway, so now I have a whole gallery of all my cards and the tooltip working. So what I can do now is I can just see what do I want to give the player. Ceremonial Dagger. Maybe we give the player a Ceremonial Dagger. Card ID.Ceremonial Dagger. What else? Maybe we'll give them Embalming Fluid as well. I still like the Jester. Who was it that had the idea of flipping the Jester upside down? I think, was that Asymmetrics? That was me. Yeah, that's what I thought. That was genius. I still remember that. Because I remember like drawing the Jester, I'm like, oh, that looks kind of weird. And then Asymmetrics was like, just flip him upside down. I was like, okay. And that worked beautifully. I love how goofy that card is. I love it. Wave function collapsed in 2016. Oh, yeah, 2016. I was gonna say, whoa, did I just wake up from a dream? And wake up from a coma, and it had only been like 3 days? 2016 memories, yeah. 2016 doesn't feel that long ago, but it was a decade ago. Did I hear wave function collapse? Who summoned me? In the UK, we have the McDonald's secret menu as official now, so you can get a chicken cheeseburger or a burger with a fillet of fish and chicken in it. Oh, nice. Very nice. Let's just go ahead and make a sister card for every card. Man, you just had to go and mention McDonald's, didn't you? You just had to go and mention McDonald's, didn't you? Anyway. What is the third card we want to get? Snail Cat. Maybe we'll give the, well... Let's do the Wyvern Hatchling, actually. I'm trying to give the player a variety of different card shapes so that they can see how that works. So card ID.Wyvern Hatchling. So those are the cards the player's going to get from that second combat encounter. So now I need to detect when a card cell has been unlocked. So well, where is that? Board unlock component. Board inventory component unlock cell emit signal board state updated. I'm going to add another signal in here. Signal public delegate void cell unlocked event handler vector 2i cell. We will scroll on down. Emit signal cell unlocked cell. kind of want to... This emit signal grid changed. This is always paired with the board state updated, so I think I want to remove that grid change signal. I'm going to add this to my to-do list. Remove grid change signal from board inventory component in favor of board state updated. And then also prevent recalculation of locked cells on every read. These are some things that I wanted to clean up for a while. So in my board inventory component, anytime I reference these unlocked cells, it's doing a recalculation here, which, you know, it's not a big deal, but that value can definitely be just like cached because it's going to return the same thing every time. So no need to reconstruct everything. But I'm going to do that later. Anyway. Oh, it's very hard not to go off on tangents and fix these things. Gotta stay focused, gotta stay locked in. Gotta stay locked in. All right, so now I have that. Context helper.board manager.getPlayerBoard.connect. GetPlayerBoard.board inventory component.connect. Board inventory component.signal name.cell unlocked. On cell unlocked. Private void on cell unlocked. Vector 2i cell. I forgot I need the cell here. State machine current state is not equal to state unlocked cells return. Okay. All comments now just say cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. Yeah. Doesn't matter what they say. Big Mac. Can we get a cheeseburger in the game somehow? No. Sorry. There are no cheeseburgers in dark fantasy medieval Europe. I'm sorry. If we're asking for cards, can we get a Nick and Jack playable workshop card? Actually, that would be kind of fun. I mean, I don't think, you know, obviously that wouldn't fit thematically, but yeah, Nick, let's talk. If you have an idea for like something that could reference that, definitely open to adding that to the game for sure. Or if you guys just want to like design a card or come up with a card idea that you want in the game, definitely would do that. Would definitely do that. Knew the answer, but I had to try, yeah. Sweet, yeah, we should definitely talk about that soon then. Because I need card ideas, and if, you want to have your idea added to the game, and we can do like a reference to something as well, like a little Easter egg for those paying attention. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Just make the game set in medieval Hamburg. Yeah. I know he's not cool enough for Yu-Gi-Oh, but the game's Exodia is going to be bread, cheese, cow, tomato, onion, seeds. Yeah. I really like, I like the theme of this game generally, but I do like how the setting kind of lends itself to all kinds of cards. Like, I have one card that's a pumpkin patch. How cool is that? Like, you could have a banshee head on a pike on your player board, and it's just screaming at some pumpkins. It's kind of funny. I like it. My man has no culture. Oh, anyway. All right, let's just, I guess we'll just test this. And we're getting to the point now where I actually need to add new nodes to the, so there's one other thing that I need to do, which is I need to explain this wanted level, this notoriety level here. So that will probably be one of the next steps. So we do the alchemy, combine some cards, add one card to your inventory. Now continue your offensive against the Inquisition with your newly alchemized card. Okay, so we can do this now. That should win. And then I get my rewards, Ceremonial Dagger, Embalming Fluid, or Wyvern Hatchling. So let's say the player takes the Embalming Fluid. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked by using alchemical residue. Alchemical residue is a byproduct of alchemy. Use alchemy to gain residue and unlock a cell. So what I'll do is I'll put the Skeleton Warrior with the Embalming Fluid there. And then I'll get... Ooh, I got a legendary. Wow. Grab the legendary here, and then I can unlock a cell. Okay, well, I don't have anything happening after that, so... What if the card was a cooked cow? It doesn't have to be a hamburger. Could. I could make like a steak card or something. Need more card ideas, you say? Oh, yeah. I do. Nice tutorial drop. So, yeah. That's all I have built now, so we gotta add some new things here. Alright, so back to our tutorial seeded run. Let's see what we can do here. How many card ideas? I could drop you a list of ideas early on. I mean, every idea helps because, you know, I do want to get to there being hundreds of cards in the game. I think we're at like 120 cards or something right now. But I'd love to get closer to 300, maybe pushing 400. Oh, and that's all going to depend on, like, you know, I don't want to just do a bunch of cards that basically do the same thing. So it's going to depend on if I can still have good ideas for new abilities for cards, or if I can make cards that fit in a certain niche. Like, right now I'm realizing that I don't have any 1x1 cards that apply poison for the player. So that is something that I can do. But yeah, all this card art here. Ideas. Yeah. Do we have a bear? Is that bear yellow by chance? If not, he should be. Well, there is honey in the game. Yellow isn't in the palette. Right, yeah. This is done. So I'm thinking we... What? Go to my tutorial, seeded run here. Generate get tutorial map. Yeah, let's create some new combat nodes. Or not combat. Let's do an enchant node. Our enchant node is equal to new run map node. I'm just making up some numbers here. And then we'll also do what? We'll do var upgrade node is equal to new Run map node 96 plus 32. Upgrade node set event type. Enchant event type upgrade card. Combat node 2.connect enchant node. Connect upgrade node. Add those nodes there. Add those nodes there. Okay. Let's see what that does. It's time for game dev once again. Yes, indeed. Welcome back, Jack and Daytona. Good to see you. I don't know why I went into the combat here. I'm mostly just interested in the map. Okay, so we've got two options here now. Probably will want to make those a little bit farther away. And I'm going to need to define the enchant configurations. I need to be implementing my script to form my first quest in landscaping survivors, but it's alchemy time right now. It is indeed alchemy time. Let's do 48. If you have a list of cards with their abilities, people could use it to give you more ideas as well. I had thought about compiling something during the next playtest for feedback purposes anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think I should be able to automate that, I think. Yeah, I should be able to automate that. That would be helpful for me as well. Hello, RN Genesis. Good morning to you. Welcome back to the stream. Okay, so these look great here. So I'm trying to think. So after this combat, I'll have the player unlock a board cell, and then they can continue on to one of these. Do these all just always have a notoriety of 5? Oh, they do. Okay. Did I change that? Tutorial seated run. Yeah, I'm just setting the wanted level to 5 here. So that makes it nice and predictable. Okay, so we do need to fix the options for the generate enchant here. Let's go to my seeded run here. Generate enchant. Enchant configuration. So this was the problem here. So I'm probably going to need to do something similar where I can do public list base enchant, guaranteed enchants. We'll just leave it at null. So if guaranteed enchants is null, we will just fall back to picking the loot table items. That should work. I only just now noticed the little flaming skull for the tutorials. That looks so good. Holy moly, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, actually, I lifted that skull sprite from the last GMTK jam that I did. And I think it fits the game perfectly. It's still my art. I just didn't draw it specifically for this tutorial. I just thought, oh, it would be good to pull it over. Still a lot of visual work to do, but yeah, I think it's going to be all right. I want that skull to follow the player around and periodically say, hey, listen, while giving unsolicited advice. Yeah, I'm almost wondering if there's like an opportunity to do something a little bit more interesting with the skull. Either make it a recurring quote unquote character in the game, or I don't know, make it a little bit more interactive in the tutorial, but we will see. I was talking earlier, I kind of want him to maybe have like a little hand or a little arm or something that he can just like point to things, and just have like the arm animate around and like point to things. So like as you're scrolling, he's just like pointing at the combat, and then you go into the combat and he's like, he faces the other direction and he points that way, you know? Give him a little bit more character. Make him bounce around a little bit in terms of like scaling and stuff when he's zipping around. There's some opportunities to do some interesting stuff, but yeah, we'll see. Skull can be your guide. Yeah. Skull could be a rare card. Oh. Quick tips or something. He didn't get the reference. Was it a Zelda reference? Am I wrong? That would be sick, actually. Anyway, so what am I doing? Oh yeah, I just want to check. Oh, I never set the guaranteed enchants, right? So in my tutorial seeded run here, what I'll do is for generate enchant, I will say enchant config is equal to new enchant configuration, RNG, enchant config. So in here, let's do a new poison enchant. What else? We'll use the classic turn cooldown. Convert fire to healing. Maybe we'll do that one. Okay, so there's our enchants there. I'm pretty sure that's going to work, but we might as well go through and test it. That card should animate, though, unlike the others. Have his finger tap on the pot repeatedly when explaining the alchemy system with the tink-tink sounds. Oh, that's a great idea. That is a great idea. Would ground him in the world a bit more. Yeah, we could definitely do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Zelda reference, or like Clippy. It looks, yeah, Clippy, yeah. Sassy Skull. The thing is, too, like, I'm not really using a whole lot of humor in this game, and so I don't want to start introducing humor. Like, this game is... Like, Gunforged was all about being goofy, right? Like, Gunforged was just like... I was just throwing random nonsense into there because it was kind of entertaining. But this game has more like a serious and dark tone, so I don't want to go too far on the side of goofy or sassy or whatever, but certainly having like a little skeletal skull companion as a guide can work. Anyway, let's see if those enchants work. Game has a chicken and a carrot as an enemy. That's kind of goofy. Yeah, I guess so. There is a carrot as an enemy card, yes. That is true. So I've already sequence broke this, but that's alright. So I'm gonna have to like keep the player on some rails here. Now continue your offensive against the Inquisition with your newly alchemized card. See, I already broke it because I took the wrong path. But I just want to check the enchants here. Make sure that these are the ones that I configured. So see here, what I could do is, since I got some fire cards, I can go, oh, converts all fire applied to heal. And if a player is clever, so I'm thinking about putting like the boss fight up here as like the final node. Is there anything else? I need to explain the notoriety bar up here. So I need to explain the notoriety bar, but then I'm also thinking about having the boss fight here, but connected to both. And so if the player is clever, what they might do is they might backtrack here and go and grab this as well. to upgrade a card. And then they can go and fight the boss. So what I might do for the tutorial is I might make these visited nodes cost 0. So that way, you know, because one of the problems is that if the player just goes to all these visited nodes, they could trigger the boss fight early, which I don't want to happen. So what I might do is make all those 0, and then I can get the exact calculation right. So I could have a checkpoint node up here, which will trigger the boss fight early. But if a player happens to visit both of these nodes, it will send the bar up to 100 and throw the player into the boss fight automatically. That might be what I do. Oh man, there's a lot of work to do still. Oh. This is the biggest feature I've done for this game in a long while. But it is a necessary one. Don't be goofy, make him super duper evil or good, whatever he is. Doesn't have to be a comedian. Is there movement cost on the overworld? Asked and answered, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you do play as the evil character. I think the one thing about this game is that it's kind of an, like, I don't know, it's not really an inversion. Like, you are playing as the evil character, and I'm trying to, I mean, it kind of is overt, right? Like, you have zombies and stuff. But I think with these games typically is that the Inquisition faction in these kinds of games, or like the ruling faction or whatever that you're fighting against, is usually framed as the bad guy. But what I'm doing with the flavor text is I'm actually suggesting and hinting that, no, the Inquisition's actually the good guys. Like, if a necromancer outbreak actually happened in the world and all of these corrupt alchemists were raising the dead and robbing graves and terrorizing peasants, like, the Inquisition would actually be the good guys. Like, they would actually be the heroes who are putting down this darkness, right? So you do play as the evil character, and yeah. So yeah, the skull would definitely be evil. They may get into the game, though, and start going around and explore nodes thinking there's no penalty. Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm kind of hesitating on. Could be an Aladdin situation. Your character's evil and serious. The minion is good. Yeah, that could work. Might just need the skull to say he's going to make exploration free for learning purposes. Yeah, I could. Oh, is a goof. Yeah, yeah. All right, what's the next step? Allow me to put some creep in your game, make a version where you can play as both sides. That is something that I wanted to do. I think the way that the code is set up, it actually would be relatively easy to flip the script and allow you to play as the Inquisition faction. The only real problem with that is that some of the Inquisition cards are like actually very strong for balance reasons. Like, the enemy cards are a lot of times stronger than the player cards. And that is because what is not available to the enemies or to the Inquisition faction is like alchemy, for instance, and enchants and stuff. So the player has all these ways to gather power through alchemy and enchanting and upgrading cards and so on and so forth. And there is no parallel system for the Inquisition faction. So the cards for the Inquisition have to be stronger by default or at base to counter or to keep up with the player power increase. So that would be the main challenge with flipping the script and allowing the player to play as the Inquisition, is that a lot of those cards are just super beefy. Now, the solution to that might just be, adjust the difficulty to compensate so that the player alchemist faction is just naturally more difficult. But that's kind of like a nice to have. That's like a pie in the sky idea. Definitely not going to make it into version 1 of the game to play as that faction, but I can see it being added as like a game mode in the future that you could do. A captured alchemist. What is that? What do you mean by that? Captured alchemist. All right, so the next thing to do then is let's just get that checkpoint configured, I guess, so we have it to work with. Let's see. Parallel in terms of gameplay. Oh, I see. I got you. Okay, so the tutorial seeded run, tutorial utils, get tutorial map. Let's add a checkpoint node. New run map node. New vector 2. 0. No. Let's just do... maybe we'll swing it back. We'll do 32 and then... I don't know, negative 300. Set event type dot checkpoint. Enchant node dot connect checkpoint node. Upgrade node dot connect checkpoint node. Oh, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe this should be closer to 96. Maybe I'll do something like 72 or something. Okay, and then map.add node checkpoint node, region.add node checkpoint node. All right, let's see what that does. Phone typing, trying to keep it to minimal words. Oh, I got you. Okay, so I go up here. Beat this combat. I wonder if this just works out of the box. Let's see. Alchemy is used to combine cards. Add 2 cards to the pot. Choose 1 card to add to your inventory. Hover over a card to see its abilities. Boom. Now continue your offensive against the Inquisition with your newly alchemized card. We go here. We beat that guy. Grab this. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked using alchemical residue. So it asks me to do alchemy again just to reinforce that. I get some alchemical residue out of this. Then I can unlock a cell. I don't have any code to advance that yet, but then I can go to my enchant here. Turn cooldown reduced by 1. Okay, and then go to the checkpoint. It didn't do anything. Oh, it did work. Okay. But I don't have a boss configuration, so... So I think that's working for the most part. Still a lot of ways to break the tutorial flow for sure, but we're going to fix all that. Anyway. Okay. We'll get this real tight. We'll get this working real good. But the next immediate thing is I need to handle that on cell unlocked. State nodes, I guess. Leave state nodes. Let's do those states in here. Guide container. Actually, let's just do, here, let's see. Screen anchor position is equal to null. World anchor position is equal to run map nodes 3. What is that one? Let's do 4. Some locations grant you upgrades to your power. Okay. So when we unlock the cell, we're going to change the state nodes. Let's see if that much works. In the lore, how long has this war been going on? So the way that I'm thinking about it is that this has been going on in like a cycle for hundreds of years. It started with the primeval necromancers with the advent of alchemy. The primeval necromancers figured out how to do unholy things with the alchemy, up to and including raising the dead and hexing people and whatnot. And every so often, every century or so, there has to be this war that's fought because there's a constant resurgence of people rediscovering the old alchemies and the old studies of the old necromancers. And so you're kind of like several hundred years removed from this, but you are one such necromancer. You are, you know, someone who has studied what the first necromancers studied with alchemy, and you are using that knowledge to try to conquer this land. And the Inquisition is like just spinning up, like they're just realizing that the evil is coming back. And so that's, you know, that's why the region is sort of like militarized. That's the broad strokes of the lore. We'll see if that changes or not. But that kind of lore provides a nice backdrop for a lot of the cards, because a lot of the cards can be like artifacts from the first necromancers. Okay. I like how this is working already, though. I think this is providing a nice backdrop, a nice introduction to the game. So if we do this, and then we do the skeleton here. So this is the ideal situation. Let's say I want to take this wyvern hatchling. I take that, I get my alchemical residue, and then I want the player to like unlock a cell and put that there. So I might tweak the cards that are available to the player, because ideally I'd want, like, no matter which card you choose, I'd want it to be the case that you'd have to unlock a cell to get your card placed, but so I may have to change some things around. And that didn't work. Why didn't it work? Did I not? On cell unlocked. Am I ever switching into the unlock? Yeah. State nodes. Why didn't that work? I guess we'll just attach this and see what's happening. Oh, it's just not working at all. Am I on the wrong... Am I never emitting that signal? No, I am. Maybe this register player board is not happening quick enough. Oh yeah, it's probably not happening quick enough. So, I mean, the easy way to fix this is just to do callable.from. This dot call deferred. Order of operations issue. So it stands to reason they would teach themselves alchemy for defensive purposes, the Inquisition. Yeah, they could. They could. Thoughts on blinking elements to direct players to certain elements? I don't have blinking, but I have like that swipe animation that just played right there. And if I do end up adding like an arm to this guy, that would help as well. So it could like point at specific things. Claim your treasure and press forward. Alchemy is used to combine cards and create new ability combinations. Open the alchemy drawer to begin crafting. Alchemize cards, add 2 or more cards to the pot. Obviously there's some timing issues and whatnot here, but okay, I'll do this. Grab the Wyvern Hatchling. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked using alchemical residue. Chemical residue is a byproduct of alchemy. Use alchemy to gain residue and unlock a cell. So we do these. Do that. Okay, some locations grant you upgrades to your power. Visit either the enchantment or upgrade locations to enhance your cards. So yeah, obviously there's some draw order issues here, but we'll fix those. Okay, so that's the next thing that we need to handle, is that. And then I need to explain also the notoriety system. All right, well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Mention doesn't want to handhold too much, but we shall see. Yeah. We'll see. I can already notice some parts where maybe players will get a little bit stuck, but some level of stuckness is okay as well, because that should hopefully prompt the player to figure out what they're doing. But we don't want it to be too stuckish, right? Okay, so we're approaching 2 hours on the stream. Again, I'm going to go for 3 hours today, I think. So we'll do another hour of streaming, hour and some minutes of streaming. But first, I'm going to take a quick break, another 3-minute break here. And then when I come back, we will keep doing this. So the next stage is to educate the player on the notoriety system and how the boss fights work. And then once all that's done, I have to handle the end state of the tutorial. So I got to send the player back to the main menu, for example. And then I also have to, Yeah, then we have to figure out, number one, how to make it look better than it does, fix the render order issues, and also, what else? What was the last? Oh, we have to fix all the situations where the player can get out of sequence with the tutorial. We're not going to get all that done in an hour, but that's going to be the efforts for this week. Anyway, I'll be right back in 3 minutes, and we will continue on. All right, I'm back. Who's ready for another hour of Firebelly? Are you guys sick of me yet? Are you sick of me yet? I hope not. I need those YouTube numbers to go up. Please don't leave the stream. Anyway, so we gotta educate the player on the notoriety stuff as well as the boss. I'm so sick of this guy, I think I may watch one more hour, yeah. So I gotta get a couple of things straight here because I should probably start the notoriety level off a little bit higher, and I should probably disable the movement cost penalty for moving to... Yeah, the problem though is if I disable the movement cost penalty, then the player may get the impression that they can move for free in the normal game, which is a problem. I could do some tricksy things with the notoriety penalty, like I could prevent it from reaching 100 before the player is ready to enter the boss fight. I mean, there's another way to handle this, which is to like mention the fact that the player has broken the tutorial. So be like, oops, I guess we're fighting the boss already, you know? And just let that happen and handle that case in a sort of very natural way. I'm hate watching like crazy. Yeah, what do I want to do about this? So after one of these is visited, so let's do this. State nodes. So let's do this. On map entered. On map entered. Else if state machine dot get current state is equal to state nodes. Then we can do state machine dot change state notoriety. Leave state notoriety, and we also need the state notoriety. Okay, state notoriety, rich text label dot text is equal to as you travel, your notoriety level increases. Once your notoriety reaches 100, the Inquisition will send their strongest forces against you. Something like that. Let's get rid of this. World anchor position equals null. Screen anchor position is equal to, let's do new vector 2. 360 and then like 48, I guess. Visiting a checkpoint triggers a notoriety reduction. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know how to fit the checkpoint stuff into here, but let's see how this looks in game. I actually don't know how I'm going to handle this. Hello, Ahmed. Welcome to the stream, or welcome back, I should say. Good to see you. Oops. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to explain the checkpoint as well. I don't know how I'm going to explain the checkpoint. Do the alchemy. Just trying to follow all the steps as it wants me to follow them. Continue my offensive. Beat this guy. Grab one of these. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked by using alchemical residue. So we force the player to do some alchemy again because that's the only way they can get enough residue to unlock a cell. And then I can just choose to unlock this one, put this here. Some locations grant you upgrades to your power. Visit either the enchantment or upgrade locations to enhance your cards. So I want to choose this one. That should probably go away. Not probably, it should go away. Didn't even work anyway. Didn't even work anyway. State notoriety. On map entered. Why is that not working? Change state, state notoriety. Did I not add that state? Oh, I didn't add it here. I should have an error to that effect. Guess not. All right, time to do it all over again. Actually, I wonder if I could just do this. Let's just go right into the notoriety state. As you travel, your notoriety level increases. Once your notoriety reaches 100. Did I do my math wrong? I think I did. That should be 320. Let me just add an extra line here. You can fight these forces at any time by visiting. You can fight these forces before your notoriety is filled by visiting a checkpoint. I don't know if that's going to be too much text. Maybe we'll have to fix that, but strongest forces in the region. Send the strongest forces in the region. Thank you. That's a good idea. I made a full finite state machine tool if you want to check it out later. Yeah, you can feel free to share it in the Discord, in the game dev Discord, and I'll take a look if I have some time to do that. Strongest forces in the region, yeah. So that's too much text though. Yeah, I need to figure out what to do about the checkpoint. I don't think this last line really works. What about an infinite state machine? We need a wave function collapse finite state machine. You could show checkpoint notoriety stuff after the first move so the checkpoint is revealed on the map. Yeah, I could do that. Should purposely use the wrong UR for engagement bait. Tell them about notoriety and then pan the camera to the checkpoint and talk about. Yeah, I could do that, but I'd have to interrupt. Like, that would have to come after they've been introduced to the map traveling mechanics. Because the order right now is, the first thing that the player is introduced to is the combat and moving cards from their inventory to their combat board. And then the next thing that they're introduced to is the alchemy. And I think I want to maintain that order of importance there. Well, let's just set this back to where it's supposed to be. Let's just set that back to where it's supposed to be, and then maybe we'll figure out a different spot for that. So I go here. Place a card onto your board to prepare for combat. Cards will execute their abilities when it's their turn. Click the combat disc to begin the encounter. Okay. You have defeated some of the Inquisition's forces. Claim your treasure and press forward. Alchemy is used to combine cards and create new ability combinations. The alchemy drawer to begin. To alchemize cards, add 2 cards. Choose 1 card to add to your inventory. Hover over a card to see its new abilities. Now continue your offensive against the Inquisition with your newly alchemized card. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked using alchemical residue. Yeah, so I alchemize these two together. So I go here. That needs to disappear. Upgrade a card. As you travel, your notoriety level increases. Once your notoriety reaches 100, the Inquisition will send their strongest forces in the region to confront you. I mean, I could add another node here before the checkpoint. So all of these have a wanted level of 5 or a notoriety level of 5. So if I do 5, 10, 15, 20. So if I start the notoriety level at 80, and then I disable these, maybe not 80, maybe 77. Let's see. So if I do this, is tutorial. Wanted level is equal to 77. Emit signal wanted level changed. Is that going to work? I think the checkpoint tutorial being on the node tooltip is enough, actually. So where it says the region's boss is stationed there. Let's see if I got this math correct. So we start at 77 notoriety, grab the jellyfish, do the alchemy, grab the jellyfish out of there. Now continue your offensive against the newly alchemized card. So I'm at 82 now. So I go here. Okay. I can grab a wyvern. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked by using alchemical residue. So I'll put these two together. Use alchemy to gain residue and unlock a cell. Grab this guy. Unlock that cell. Okay, some locations grant you upgrades to your power. Visit either the enchantment or upgrade stations to enhance your cards. So I can go here. I can upgrade a card. And I go here. As you travel, your notoriety level increases. Once your notoriety reaches 100, the Inquisition will send their strongest forces in the region to confront you. So now the way that I've set this up is I can either trigger the boss fight early here by going to the checkpoint, or I can backtrack here, take that 3 penalty, and then visit this. And then I can enchant this card at the same time. And then that's going to trigger the boss fight before I even get there. So there's two pathways basically to get to the boss now. There's still a bunch of problems here, but I think that's probably okay. So the player's either going to discover that when they visit the checkpoint to trigger the boss fight, Or they're going to discover that if they backtrack and go to the other node, they can still grab that node, but it's going to throw them into the boss fight automatically. I think that will work. Skull is a prime alchemist, but reduced to a skull. Oh, that could work. Yeah, could definitely work from a lore perspective. Oh man, it's getting close to McDonald's time. That time is nearing. I'm actually very hungry, but we soldier on. I promised a 3-hour stream, and by golly, we're gonna get it. So I think this is probably okay. Yeah, the checkpoint does say the region's boss is stationed there, so that's probably enough. Okay, let's do something fun now. I'm tired of writing just all this logic, to be honest. I still need to do the boss configuration, so we'll probably do that. Or not probably, we have to do that, but maybe not right now. What I'm kind of interested in doing is adding a little arm to the character, because I think that would be fun. So we're going to do that instead. Take a little bit of a break from just this raw logic sequencing stuff, which is getting a little bit tiresome right now. So we will go ahead and commit this. So add notoriety tutorial step. I think, like, as it stands right now, I think the tutorial is adequately covering all of the basics. Again, the tutorial doesn't need to describe how each node works. It doesn't need to describe, like, once the player understands, like, how to interact with the UI, like, the art are the clickable elements and there's no, like, traditional buttons and everything. All that stuff is being introduced to the player. They know how to move across the map. They know how to put cards on their board. They know that the alchemy system is available. They know that they can get alchemical residue from the alchemy system to unlock board spaces. And they know when the boss fight is coming. So I think I covered all the bases. I think that, yeah, I think that the tutorial is like, it feels nice and succinct. It feels like a good introduction to the game. Obviously, there's a ton of problems that need to be fixed, but just generally speaking, what's taking shape, I think, is actually, I'm very happy with it. So now it's just a matter really of getting that all polished up and cleaned up and handling the edge cases and making the visuals look correct and nice and all that stuff. And then we'll see what the playtesters have to say about it. I need to integrate the tutorial into the game. Right now it's just hard-coded here in the run manager with this flag here. But I obviously need to take that flag probably from the main menu and, you know, ask the player when they first start the game, do you want to do the tutorial? And then if they say yes, put them into the tutorial level. And then when they beat the tutorial, send them back to the main menu where they can then go and start an actual run. You could potentially force them to backtrack, doing both enchant upgrade tutorials and triggering the boss that way. Yeah, I could do that, yeah. That might be a good step. I think you should explain status effects in the real game as they happen. One thing that I didn't explicitly call out is that you can click on cards to bring up the drawer inspector. And that's where the status effects are actually explained, right? So, I don't have this open, but let's just go ahead and get through this real quick. So if I click on this, it tells me what fire does here. Deals fire damage equal to fire amount after 6 turns, can be affected by critical modifiers. So that's one thing I didn't explicitly call out. It is in the tooltip here to inspect, but players are probably not going to know that they can find the description for the status effects in here. So that might be a good thing to shout out. The problem with doing it as it happens in game is that I'd have to, like, pause the game or something, because if I'm trying to explain a status effect while the combat is still like going on, I think that can be confusing. So that might be good for like a future iteration of player education, but I don't think I'm going to do it as part of this effort right now. Status effects would be super confusing to new players if they don't know where to find them. Right. Also, that jelly looks like a squid to me. I mean, the tentacles are squid-ish for sure, but I don't think the top part looks anything like a squid. Anyway. So yeah, anyway, let's do something a little bit more fun here. Oops. Let's say this is an A sprite file. Let's do canvas size 64 by 64. Okay, let's see if we can do like a little hand here. Or an arm, I mean. Oops. Lock that layer. Don't want to make the arm too long. That probably looks all right. Okay. It looks kind of cute, doesn't he? So you can imagine this arm rotating around. I mean, that's not the pivot point that I would use, but Can I change the pivot point in Sprite? Oh, I can. That's gonna work pretty good, I think, actually. Okay. Let's cut this and put this on a separate layer. Let's clean this up a little bit here. Giving it a little bit of a double outline just because it makes it stand out from the background a little bit more. Oops, I think I messed this up. Okay, so now we got the arm. You can introduce a battle that has a status. The skull informs a player that the status effects exist and the combat continues. Yeah, I could do that. The thing is, like, I don't want the tutorial to drag on too much. Like, I want it to be succinct. I want the player to get the picture, and I want the player out of the tutorial and into the real game. So I don't want to add too many discrete steps in the tutorial where the player is being educated about certain things. Yeah, I can figure that all out later in terms of player education. I could do like a codex too. So this is something that I was thinking of last night. I could have a codex that has like all of the things that you're discovering. So every time you encounter a new enemy card, it gets added to your codex, right? And then you can, at any point in the game during the run or at the main menu, you can look at your codex and you can see all the enemy cards that you've encountered and you can read about them and see what their stats are and everything. And I could do the same for status effects so that like whenever a new status effect appears on the screen, like during combat or whatever, you know, you could have like a little tooltip or a little alert that says new codex entry, you know, poison or whatever. And then I could even surface a button to the player right there, like click here to view. And so you click it, it pauses the combat, it will bring you to that codex entry and you can read about the poison. And then when you close the codex, the combat will resume, something like that. So I think there's opportunities to do that kind of thing. I just don't know if it would be appropriate to do that as like a discrete tutorial step that is explicitly called out. A floating hand would suffice, I think, with a pointing finger. I like it under like that, yeah. That looks fine too. Yeah, I like the way that this has turned out here. But yeah, definitely pointing finger. I'm getting better at drawing skeletons. Finally, it's about time. It's about time. So then what we'll do here is I will export these as separate sprites, which means, yeah, this will be fine. GSPI export layers, save sprite. I don't know why this takes so long all of a sudden. This used to be a very snappy operation and now it's like, takes forever. I wonder if that's something to do with Steam, because what happens is, I think that script invokes the ASprite executable from the command line and executes a command, or it hooks into the ASprite API in some way. I mean, we could check it out. Let's see. So export layers.lua. So this is the script that runs that export layers. And I actually extended this myself. I added some new options that weren't available. I guess this is just using the API. So yeah, I don't know if it's like invoking another instance of ASprite under the hood, and the reason it's delayed is because it's doing it through Steam or something. I don't know. But for some reason, it's very slow. Anyway, there's nothing useful in here for me, I guess. So let's get this working. Or working as much as possible, I guess. Put that on the wrong layer again. Just want to make sure this sprite is good. Okay. We'll wait for this to take its time. Yep. Take your time. I got nowhere to be. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go back here, put the head here. Okay, I'm going to delete this old sprite because it got renamed essentially. We've got the arm here. I'm going to do a node 2D. Let's do guide here. Put this under there. Okay, so we've got the arm. We'll move this into a proper position. So now I've got the pivot point set so I can rotate this. But I put this all under a node 2D because now if I want to flip the whole thing, which I will want to do, oh, that doesn't work. I'm gonna have to move all this stuff. Let's see. Okay, so now if I change the scale to -1, nope. -1 in the X. What the heck is wrong with me? So now I can just flip them by switching the X scale. So that'll work. I'm probably going to want to move this down a little bit, actually. Okay, let's just see what this looks like at game before I do anything too fancy with it. Right, so I'm going to need to probably change this control as well. Custom minimum size. Let's just make this go up. And yeah, fully cover that. If I do -1 on the X here. Yeah, it's not totally correct. I'm changing the wrong thing, I think. This is 22, so this probably needs to be position 11. And then we'll, let's see. I'm changing the wrong thing again. Okay. I think that's right. So we're basically keeping it within that bounding box. And I can switch the scale and it's not going to fundamentally leave that bounding box there. Let's see what that looks like. Why is it so far down now? Oh, right, because the animation is taking effect now. Wait, why is that so far down? Oh, I see. I'll just use a bunch of layers to make this easier, I suppose. Okay. There we go. Dang animations. Okay. Now it's looking aligned properly. So we're obviously going to want to flip this guy depending on where he's pointing. And we're also going to want to modify the arm. So that means that I probably want to put this in a separate scene here. We'll just call this skull, I guess. Son of a biscuit. I'm gonna also have to move this animation player over. Okay. Okay, skull. Let's cut the animation player. We'll go over to the skull here. I'm gonna put the animation player in there. We're gonna change this property. Am I not allowed to edit this property? Here we go. So we change that to root position. We change this to root position as well. Okay, we should be golden, pony boy. Okay. So that's all configured properly now. Let's add a script to this skull. And we're going to need a couple of things. We need the root. Is this where I can change the scale? No. I'd need to change this. Oh, wait, I can change the scale of this itself, I think. Yes. Okay. I hope that works. Public override void process. And then what we're going to do is we need to be able to set public void set look at position. Vector 2 local position. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's store that. This is game.tutorial, game.data.tutorial? No. Is that what it is? Oh, game.ui.tutorial. Okay. Private vector 2, look at position. Set this to null. The look at position is null, will return. So var direction is equal to, we're going to use global position in here. It's kind of weird how I'm using global and local, but direction to look at position dot value. Scale is equal to direction dot x is less than 0, question mark, new vector 2. Okay, that'll work. And then we also want to do is grab the arm here. So we'll grab that. Node private sprite 2D arm. Arm dot look at position dot value. And then we'll do look at position is equal to 2 global. We can set this to null too. Look at position is equal to local position. Okay. So now in my tutorial guide here, node private skull. private void set skull position. Vector 2 is world, vector 2 position. Vector 2 is world, or no, what am I doing? Bool is world position. Okay. And then we'll do private void clear skull position. We will do world position is equal to null. Screen anchor position equals null. Skull set lookout position null. Okay. If it's world position, we're going to do world to screen position. Otherwise, just position there. So now here, what I can do is I could say that. And then instead of doing these, we're just going to do clear skull position, clear skull position, set skull position. Thank you, Copilot. All right, let's see what happens. Dang, an outsider's reference. Respect, yeah. I remember we read that book in one of my English classes and I loved it. But we also watched the movie, of course. But yeah, Outsiders is great. I like it. Stay golden, pony boy. Oh, and it's no longer animating. Ah, it's no longer animating. Ah, yes, it's no longer animating. Okay, I think that's right. And I'll just be safe. I'll just set the other one to null in here. Oh, I guess that look at position is not quite working. The arm is kind of working though, it kind of looks funny. I think I got my positioning wrong though. Look at how cute he is just pointing. It would be cool, kind of cool if I had him point to the card that you're dragging. So definitely some improvement, room for improvement there, but let's see. This one is not working at all. So I think I've got my coordinates wrong. It's a little bit confusing because, so I've got like the world position, which is the position of the nodes, these nodes in the world here. But that needs to be translated to like a screen position because this guy just operates within this like margin container, which covers the screen. So I think I just got my positionings wrong there. I'm gonna have to figure that out, but look at how cute he is when he's pointing. The other problem is there's a difference between where the UI anchor position is, so where it's actually positioned in the screen, and where the skull needs to be pointing. So right now those are the same point, so that's probably wrong as well. My brother's band is named Ponyboy. Awesome. He has a Stay Gold tattooed on his knuckles. Very cool. Stay gold, nice. Really cute, maybe we can call it Scully. Scully was the internal name for it in the other game, in the GMTK Jam game. But yeah, I think I like how this is turning out. It looks very, very cute, actually. But yeah, the pointing is just completely wrong, so I need to fix that. The pointing is completely wrong. Seems like an arm overlaps the sprite quite a bit. Yeah, I can move it. I mean, we can try that now even. So we can move it a little bit, and then in here... Is this still correct if I do this? Yeah, it should be fine. Then here, this control node, I just need to increase this size a little bit. Let's see if that makes it look a little bit nicer. Yeah, that probably looks better. So obviously it's not pointing in the right direction, but you can see how it works when I like have it point. Yeah, that definitely adds a little bit more visual interest to the tutorial here. It's just so funny how he's just like presumably pointing at something. Oh, that's funny. If it's giving me this much joy, I hope it gives you as much joy as well. Not cute, he's an evil necromancer, don't let him fool you. He can be adorable and evil. He's pointing to the alchemy, and then of course he'll point over here. And I can even get rid of this text here and have him like move around the screen a little bit more dynamically, so he could actually like fly over here and like hover around and point to one of these cards. Depends on how much effort I want to put into this, but I think this is one area where I probably do want to put a lot of effort into polishing it up, not only because it's part of the player education, but because it's also part of the first impression, right? Like, this is something that I've learned from doing jam games, especially, is that when you make a game for a game jam, most people are not going to play your game for even 5 minutes. Most people are going to boot up your game, toy around with it for a couple minutes, and like if it grabs them, they'll play for a while. But for the most part, they're just in and out. And so you basically have 5 minutes to convince the person that's playing that your game is awesome. And so what I learned from doing game jams is like the first impression has to be very tight. The player onboarding has to be very easy. You don't want players to get stuck on like how to play your game. And the initial visuals and effects that they see should be, you know, impressive might be the wrong word, but they should be something that makes the player go, oh yeah, that's cool, or I like how that was done, or that looks really good, you know? And so I'm kind of taking those learnings and bringing it over here. If the first thing that the players are going to do is the tutorial, then I think I should be spending an almost inordinate amount of time polishing that experience up so that their initial impressions are good. And that's going to hopefully make it easier for them to stick with the game too if they go into a run, because they're going to be learning a lot of new stuff when they first go into a real run, having just come fresh off the tutorial. And if they know, okay, well, the tutorial was that good, so I'm going to stick with the game now, and you know, even if there's something confusing to me, I'm going to stick with it because I know that it has a potential to be good, right? So anyway, so I think this is one area where I do want to spend a lot of time making it look nice and like interactive and stuff. And I think that will help. It's the initial captivating event worth as much juice as you can squeeze into it. Right, exactly, yeah. I played Dicey Dungeon and Inscriptions game jam version a few hours each, otherwise you're 100% correct. Yeah, Dicey Dungeon may be the wrong game name. I think that's right. They should be impactful. Die in the dungeon, right, yeah, that's the one. I played an insane amount of Randomancer. Nice seeing you here, Nick. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Nick's great. Since we were asking random cards earlier, here's mine, the Capybara card. Okay. I don't know if that fits, but... well, there is one thing, which is that... So I have the shop, right? And the shop is like themed around like an Eastern traveling merchant, right? So he's got like the hookah, he's got some kind of like Eastern-esque garb on. And so I think that would be a great opportunity for the shop. Instead of offering cards that you can typically come across, I think it'd be a great opportunity for the shop to be a way that you can get differently themed cards, like Eastern themed cards or like exotic animal cards, right? So maybe you could fit in some exotic animals and whatnot in that way. But yeah, only after the battle is the hub area shown and more of the game explained. Oh, I didn't read the first one. I like games that do it like Darkest Dungeon. The game basically starts in a dungeon. The player has to move forward to the first battle. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm dropping the player into the map immediately. Although I don't really have a hub area, but it's a very simplified version of the map, right? But I don't think, I mean, this game is not going to have a hub area. I will have a meta progression system. I just don't know how I'm going to present that yet. I was just thinking about it. There may need to be a tutorial for card stability as well. My suggestion is El Chupacabra. Yeah, the card stability, I don't know if I necessarily... I probably should explain that somewhere, but... yeah, I probably should explain that somewhere. Dealing with pups. Those animals always demand attention. Always demanding your attention. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to figure out here for sure, but I like the direction this is going. I like the direction this is going, and yeah, it's just a matter of getting the work done, really. I can see how the tutorial is going to play out, though. And I like what I'm seeing so far. So yeah, we'll definitely figure out what to do. But anyway, we are approaching the 3-hour mark, and I'm actually very, very, very hungry right now. I haven't eaten anything since this morning. I've been up for 6 hours. So it's getting to be about that McDonald's time, am I right? Am I right or am I right? So anyway, I'm actually just going to get that started right now. We can hang out for a few more minutes if you're interested. If anyone has any thoughts or questions, feel free to post them. Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, I guess I'll just, I'm gonna hang around for a couple more minutes. They gotta cook my burger, so no sense in leaving right now. But I will just mention again that Alka Mortis is available on Steam, so if anyone wants to wishlist it, please do so. The other ways you can support my work are listed in the description below, so definitely check it out. Again, we will be doing a playtest near the end of the month, so that's approaching fast. We're almost halfway through the month. But I think it's realistic for me to have a playtest build ready to go by the end of the month with all these new features and systems and mechanics. And again, the way that the playtest is going to work is if you are an active Patreon member right now, you will get a week of early access to the playtest. So if you're interested in that, definitely consider subscribing to the Patreon. But after the week of Patreon early access, the playtest will be open for the public, so anyone that wants to play it will be able to play it. Big Mac time. No, it's double quarter pounder with cheese. Hamburger. Yeah, the hamburger. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the $5. Thank you. It's very generous, and that will definitely go toward my burger fund. Thank you. New meaning to yummers, yeah. So anyway, yeah, so the playtest will be available... yeah, at the end of this month. It'll be available for everyone eventually, but Patreon members first. And yeah, I'm probably gonna throw in a little bit of an extra incentive for anyone that offers feedback, because I'm at the point where I need a lot of feedback, I think. So yeah, I'll offer an additional incentive for anyone I think that offers some feedback. What else? I think that's basically it. Quarter pounder with cheese slap, such a good burger. Yeah, it is. It really is. Can't beat it. You really can't beat it. I don't offer feedback. I forced on you. Yeah, yeah, this is true. All right, well, thanks everyone for watching. Always great hanging out with you all. Always great to chat. And thank you again for your support with Alka Mortis. It means a lot to me. And I'll be back at it tomorrow at the usual time, 10 a.m. Eastern, so I hope to see you there. Otherwise, have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.